Good morning. Well, welcome to the Outdoor Archives. Just love being out here in the fall. So calm and peaceful and still a lot of colors. Nice and cool, but not too cold. So I'm out for another hike today. And I did bring another piece of gear that I've been hoping to test out. You know, if you watch my channel, that I'm really enjoy hammock camping. And some of the struggles that I went through, and I'm pretty sure that many others went through, would be as soon as you sit in a hammock, I think you notice two things. One, it's usually pretty comfortable for most people. And two, if you sit in it long enough and it's not super warm outside, you feel your back get cold almost immediately. There are a few products you can use, like you can use an air mattress. Problem with that is that it kind of slides around on you and it's really hard to keep underneath you unless you have a double-walled hammock. And of course there's also underquilts, and they do work really well, but they do take some adjustment, and they also can be pretty pricey. The product that I brought today is pretty inexpensive. It's somewhere around $70, and it's supposed to be much easier to set up and effective as well. So let me do my morning hike and get to my spot, and we'll set it up for you. Well, I think this is a good spot to set up a hammock, so I'm gonna take this backpack off. I might even drop a layer. Getting pretty warm from walking through here, but I think this is a good spot that we can set up and do our little review. So you see here, the cocoon is lashed to the outside of my pack, and the reason for that is its sheer size. This is not a small item. Weighs in about I believe it was 4¼ pounds, give or take. So that's pretty heavy as far as sleeping bags and such go. But this is a cocoon, so this wraps your entire hammock in fabric to keeps the wind out and everything else. So, you have to take that into account as well. With other systems, you would need a bottom quilt and a top quilt. If they were down, you could probably get a system that's, probably around 2½ to 3 pounds pretty easily, but it's going to cost you big money to do that. This is made out of polyester, so polyester has some advantages. It tends to keep a little bit warmer if it's wet than down. But it is bulky and a bit heavier, so it's a trade-off, right? And this coming in at about $70, I mean, if it does what they say it's supposed to do, that's a good deal. So this also has what they're calling an antimicrobial treatment, I guess, to help keep the stink down if you sweat in there, or if it gets a little bit damp, whatever. So what I'm going to do is a couple of trees here I'm going to measure out, set up my hammock, and then we're gonna take this out and set it up with you. Okay, my friends, you know how people always warn you to look up for widowmakers? I did that, thankfully so. When I walked in, the camera was over there, and I looked up and I saw there's this pine tree, or I don't know, whatever it is, and there was a branch that was kind of hanging there. And just as I was setting up the camera, about 15 feet from the hammock, this guy came down. Boy, I jumped about 10 feet there. I looked to my left, I heard a big crack, and there were leaves flying, and man. So, heed warning when they tell you, do not sleep under widowmakers. Thank God. Okay, so disaster averted. Now let's talk about the cocoon. Alright, so I've set up here my ENO hammock. If you want any more information about this, I did a review a while back, and the reason I brought this today was A, it's a simple hammock to set up, and B, obviously if your hammock has a ridge line of sorts, I'm not saying it won't work, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult to work with this because this basically encompasses the hammock. So see here, we've got the stuff sack that compresses things down. There's 4 straps here to loosen. This is the only color it comes in. It's kind of like a, I don't know, it's like a drab green, but it's got these little diamond inserts, or these little diamond patterns. I don't know, hopefully you can see that. Looks kind of nice actually. Unzip this. And I do have to lay this on the ground. Not crazy about that, but okay, it is what it is. Take these out, put that through, and hook it back up. Okay, so that's one side is on. Now I'm going to have to get this side. Alright. So, now we have to deal with the suspension here. So each side has these D-rings. I brought my hang time hammock straps here. And they have extra binders that I don't need for this hammock. So, I suppose I can kind of do this and just maybe put a small knot here. This doesn't have to hold any weight. In fact, it shouldn't hold any weight. This is basically just to keep the cocoon in place. And in fact, the instructions specifically say that make sure that this does not support your weight because it will rip these D-rings. So one side done. Okay. So I can see this is hanging well below the hammock, so it shouldn't take any of my weight. I'm going to give it a little test here. So it looks like that's all you need to set it up. Now I'm going to wrap it here just to show you what it looks like. Seems to be a pretty good quality zipper. Double zipper. Looks like zipper on the inside because you're going to actually go inside this thing, and it looks like it has a little, I don't know if it's fluorescent, but it's a bright colored pull so you can actually see the zipper. That's a nice touch. Now it looks like it's tapered on that side. So it's wider here, so I'm guessing this is the head side and this is the foot side. So I guess I'm going to crawl in. So let me try to get in here. And just testing. Okay, seems to be okay. Alright, seems to be right against the hammock, but not stretching in any way, which is good. There we go. Now, I'm guessing if things go super cold, you can get right in here. Just leave a small hole for condensation to escape. And wow, it's getting crazy hot in here. Well, my friends, just brewing up a coffee. I just spent about half an hour in the cocoon, and I checked the temperature, and it's 11 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that converts to in Fahrenheit. Probably 53, 54, I don't really know. But it's approximate anyway. And I had, so what I've got on is a just a thin base layer, and just this thin button-down shirt here. And I was dying in there, even with the zipper undone. So I took this shirt off, and I was, with the zipper down, I was actually comfortable at this temperature. So I'm pretty sure that this would suit me down to about 40, the way I'm dressed now. If I put another layer on, I could probably get that down to 35, possibly even the freezing point. Now that's for me, I tend to be a warm sleeper. Oh boy, there's a deer that just took off. When I'm ready for them with the camera, they never show up. But when I'm talking to you guys, I can't tell you how many times I've seen deer just fly by. It's a big buck too. Would have loved to get him on camera. Anyway, yeah, so, I mean, again, I'm a warm sleeper, so I don't know how that's going to translate to other people. I think I'd be fine probably down close to freezing with this. And don't forget that this is so wide, you can actually bring along another sleeping bag and sleep inside the cocoon with the sleeping bag. That's going to add a lot of bulk, but in the winter months you expect that. Well guys, I've been sitting here thinking about my likes and dislikes of this hammock. The hammock cocoon. And I'm going to say I like the color. It's kind of a drab green, but a little bit different, and it's got this little pattern in it, which I kind of like. And it's really subtle, so you don't, it doesn't stand out at like this hammock, this kind of neon blue. Not my favorite thing. You can see it a mile away, and usually I don't like people to spot where I'm camping. So I do like that. I like that. Probably its best feature is let's face it, its price at around $70. Where are you going to find even a decent sleeping bag to, take you down to 40 degrees? I think I'd be fine 40 degrees. I don't know about anyone else, but even a sleeping bag, a 40-degree sleeping bag of decent quality, will probably cost you at least that, if not more. And this has more material and the extra cordage and stuff like that. So it's it is, from what I see, a pretty good product. I also like the no fuss setup. I mean, I had to bring 2 carabiners and just kind of lash it to the carabiners and did a really quick check. Everything looked a-okay, so I sat in it and we were good to go. So that's another bonus. I know I have a couple of underquilts. They're not full-length underquilts, and maybe that's the problem. I got to kind of fiddle with them to get them in the right spot. And this, I just hooked it up, clipped them onto the carabiner, got in, zipped it up, and within a minute I was ready to go. So it's a no-nonsense solution, and it's not an expensive one. So, keep that in mind. $70 is not a lot to pay for something like this. Sorry guys, I was in the middle of telling you my likes, and we had quite a wind pickup. So what I wanted to try, because I think it's really important, is just to see the wind resistance of this thing. So we're having wind gusts up about 25 miles an hour today, and it just picked up. The branches were swaying, and there was a lot of noise in here from all the wind. And I got in, and I could not feel the wind at all. So I think this does a pretty good job of blocking the wind. And to me, that's important, because that will definitely chill you, even on a warmer night with wind picking up. Like today's cool enough that I need to wear a hat, but it's not that cold. Like I said, I think it's like 11 degrees Celsius or something like that. And this, at that temperature at least, this does a pretty good job. Okay, so now what don't I like? Oh, sorry, one other thing I forgot to tell you guys. It has a nice little compartment in here that can hold, actually a good size, can hold probably a cell phone, maybe even a small tablet. Maybe your cell phone in your glasses, a wallet, stuff like that. So it looks to be a pretty good size. So, so what I don't like about it are, let me demonstrate here. Actually, I'll do it on this side. So the way this connects here is through shop cord, and that's all fine and good. I think that's a pretty decent system for this. But what I really wish they had was some kind of cinch system which would tighten this up around here. And the reason is because there's a hole that goes right inside here. So if the wind happens to be blowing this way, you're going to get a crosswind right through the blanket, and you know, that's going to definitely cool you down. You know, you could make things yourself. You could bring some kind of clamps that would hold this, or tie this with a rope, or, you know, I thought of maybe just a piece of clothing. You can just kind of, you know, stuff it in there or something, and you know, you can get pretty creative and fix that problem. But you know, I think that would be a really nice touch. Now, a lot of people, have written reviews about this system. Some good, some bad. Now, the two major things are the fabric D-connectors at the end and the zippers. I seem to find that these zippers are actually really good, and they're actually YKK zippers. I don't know if this is the second generation of this product. If you're one with a Snugpack and it's different than this, write down in the comments, because I'd like to know, because I know a couple people have complained, oh, there's no tabs on the inside, they're black, so you can't see when you're inside the cocoon. But this one has, you know, a bright fluorescent color tab, so I'm thinking this is the second version of the cocoon, and maybe they fixed some of those problems. So the first one was the zipper. I can't see any problem with the zipper. I mean, there's a little bit of a little baffle in here to keep the wind out, and it does get caught on that from time to time, but you know, every sleeping bag or whatever I have with a baffle just has that problem. Every jacket, it just seems to be common. I wouldn't fault Snugpack for that. Another common complaint tends to be with the fabric D-rings here, and that they rip out. And I could definitely see that happening if you don't tighten, if you don't secure this properly. If you don't use shock cord here, I can definitely see as soon as you sit in, it's going to sag, it's going to pull on this and rip it right out. There was an insert included with mine specifically saying, you know, make sure that the cocoon is not bearing any weight. And again, I don't know if the shock cord is a new thing or if that was just added recently. One other thing I would like to see, I mean, this would cost Snugpack a few pennies, but this would be huge for me. When I'm in the cocoon, this thing's right on my face when it's closed. And if it's super, you know, if it's not super cold, you might want to sleep with your head out. But I might, when it's super cold, would prefer to have maybe leave like 4 or 5 inches of breathing space here, but have this over me to keep me warm. But this is right on my face, which you know, I don't like. So if they maybe it's something I'll try to do myself. Put a couple little fabric V-rings here with a little shock cord. You can have a ridge line, and it'll keep this high above you so that it's off your face, and I think that would make this pretty close to perfect. One other thing people complain about is the stitching, and from what it looks like, it's not the greatest. It's not bad. It's probably what I would expect at this price point, but definitely not the greatest, and it's something you have to keep an eye on. You may have to do some repairs, so I guess we'll keep that in mind. So guys, I guess my final thoughts are, for $70 at this price point, this is a great deal. I think it's going to keep most people warm about 45 Fahrenheit. If you're a warm sleeper, 35 to 40 Fahrenheit, and if you really, you know, if you really put on a few layers, you could probably get it down close to freezing. That's me. Just because I know I've been out a few times and I know what I can handle. So I think for me that would work. I think it's reasonably well built for the price, and it's really simple to use. There's just the one thing you got to remember is not to put any weight actually on the cocoon. The hammock takes the weight, the cocoon just wraps the hammock. But I mean, I did it my first try. This is my first time setting it up. So you know what, I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think about this system? Put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and you know, I hope you enjoyed this video. Certainly enjoyed being out here making it for you. And you know, please like, comment, and if you're not a subscriber, you know, give us a subscribe. We've got new videos coming out every week. Hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.